Okay, so good morning. My name is Joseph Feria Galicia. I'm with the Berkeley Resource Center for Online Education. And this is the 4th workshop that we're providing for campus. It's creating accessible Adobe Acrobat files. Originally, there was a prerequisite to do the Word file workshop number 3 that happened a couple of weeks ago. But there was such popular demand for this that we're just going to kind of tweak it so that we're going to be reviewing what we did part of the way from the last workshop. But just to let you know, everything is saved on the B course that we made for this series of workshops. Everything's been videoed. There's a transcript, the PowerPoint, the resource files are all there. So I'll make sure I review that with y'all. But for now, the B course URL is listed here. The great thing about this course is that it's you can self-enroll, or you could have your people in your department or unit join you. They don't need to come to the workshops. Everything is there. We don't necessarily provide all of the support if there's support questions. Instead, we're trying to depend more like on a community of practice model, where as you all become experts, you're able to answer questions as well. And that's that way we're all kind of growing as a community at UC Berkeley. And the goal is that we change the culture around accessibility altogether. So our focus is on accessible documents, but there's other experts on campus as well. For instance, we have Lucy Greco representing the web access team.
Hi.
And she is my shiro, and she's been a wonderful mentor to us at Berco in terms of teaching us about the importance of manual testing, the importance of making sure a screen reader could navigate a B course, a Canvas course, documents, things of that sort. Automated tools don't do it in themselves. Manual testing is by far superior, but the automated testing helps us get a sense of what needs to get done before it gets to her so that she could focus on some of the higher level things. Do you want to make a comment real quick, Lucy?
Just that I'm, in a way, very happy to see a lot of people attend today. I'm also very disappointed to see that a lot of people are more interested in the Acrobat accessibility, because Acrobat is the worst tool out there. So you are all here for the hardest part first. And I apologize up front that what you're going to see today is actually probably the most difficult barrier you have to cover. What we're covering today is really, really, really important. But I think the thing you need to keep in mind throughout the whole course is, if in the end you can, don't use PDFs. Use HTML or use an accessible Word file. But if you have to use PDF, this is a really important course to be at, because it's the hardest thing and it's really tough to get right. So don't lose faith today. All right.
Woo! All right, that makes my job a little bit more difficult, but but I actually appreciate that, because it took me so long to learn how to remediate Acrobat files. That's actually how I met Lucy. I wasn't working for UC Berkeley. Someone in the blind community recommended that I speak to her, and she said the same thing. This was like 4 years ago. She said, I hate Acrobat files, but at the same time, they're on the web everywhere, and I don't think we're going to get away from them right away. Hopefully EPUB will take over that format, but it is important to know how to produce them, how to navigate them, and even how to recognize if a PDF has tags and is navigable with the screen reader. So I'm going to review workshop 3 goals very quickly. So number 1, again, we're front-loading Lucy's work here, is to identify how a screen reader user navigates a document. So she's able to do some demonstrations for us. To configure Word for remediation, so there's some preferences that we set up so that we could see how the document itself is structured. Omid, can you help the person that just came in? To become familiar with the style tool. So everything in Word should be used in the style tools. To add metadata, that's something that I kind of snuck in at the end of the last workshop. So we'll make sure we front load that as well. To remediate a file, to export to Adobe Acrobat. That's how the last workshop ended. We exported a remediated file at the very end. We just looked really quickly at the tag structure. Today, we're going to get more in depth with the tagging structure. And then the last one on here is to build community amongst UC Berkeley staff and employees interested in accessibility. And next to accessibility, I have A11Y, and that's just a shorthand for accessibility. There's 11 characters between the A and the Y in accessibility. So you'll see that a lot. In our workshops, it's just a shorthand. And it's also commonly used in the accessibility world. And little by little, as you become more familiar with some of the language, you're going to start moving toward becoming a moderate user in accessibility and then toward an expert. And the goal is that everyone in here becomes an expert at some point, and then we share best practices. We continue to share best practices so we keep growing. No one is going to be an expert in everything. We need the community in order to move progressively in this field. So today's goals, again, we're going to review the style layout of Word file prior to export. Remediated Word files to Adobe Acrobat. We're going to use the touch-up reading order panel in Adobe Acrobat and make sure that the required metadata is there, and then to review, edit, and add tags, to create alternative text, and then to run the accessibility check. So it's actually a very ambitious agenda. I'm not sure how much we're going to get through there because I don't want to rush each other. I do want it to be organic, so as questions come up, please don't hesitate to speak out. Just identify who you are so that some of us that aren't present here or can't see you visually know who's speaking. We're going to do a screen reader demonstration, but I think let's get some Word files exported to PDF first. And then I'll put those up for you so that you can just do the PDFs and not the Word. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me switch over, and we're going to jump back to the accessibility workshop B course. And so actually, I'm going to have you all go back to Module 3. And there's one other file that I want you to download, and it's under resources. There's the workshop file. It says unremediated Word file. So if you could download that and make sure that it opens in Word. And we need to enable editing.
Sorry, what's the title of the document?
It's under resources. So if you look up here, it's under resources and it says unremediated Microsoft Word file. So if you download that, and then earlier, after you do that, you could jump back to 4, and you should have already opened up the Quick Start Guide Joe and the Quick Start Guide Israel. Let me go back and do that. So I'm going to do that over here too. That's okay, does everyone have all 3 files open? No? Okay.
Other mine just isn't there.
For the Word files, they're not there?
Which one is?
The PowerPoint, we don't need the PowerPoint.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Just this.
Thanks.
And they hope.
Okay, so I have all 3 of them, and it might be a little confusing because they all look the same. So at the bottom where the Word icon's at, we could jump back and forth. So what I want to do first is go to the unremediated file, so make sure that one's open. And then here I'm going to do a little bit of backtracking, revisiting the workshop that we had a couple of weeks ago. So we can't really tell if this is accessible or not just by looking at it, because it looks like there's some structure to the document. What I want you to do is follow along with me. First, we're going to go to View. Actually, no, you know what? Not everyone's going to have things turned on. If you look up here, oh, never mind. They reset everything, so they didn't save the settings. So that's great. Okay, so under View, there's currently, let me see, Draft. I'm going to close this navigation. So I'm going to View and then Draft, and I can't see anything different. What I want you to be able to see is the type of formatting that has been applied to all of these lines, basically. So what we're going to do is go to File, and then Other Options, and we'll hold it here for a little bit so everyone can get there. So I went to File, and then Options. If you could do that along with me, I don't want to lose anyone. Okay, so here we go. And then under the Advanced, I'm going to scroll down. So there's a section that says Display, and then it says Style, Area, Pane, Width, and Draft Outline View. This is actually going to be the hardest thing for today, just locating it. It's not very intuitive at all. So there I'm going to put 1.2, and it's set for inches. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to ask if Tracy and Omid and Julie, if you could help make sure folks get to this point. So this is really important. I'm glad it's being recorded because you're going to be able to go back to this section. And then Israel, you're an expert now too. So can you just make sure the people around you are at this point as well?
Okay.
If anyone needs help, just raise your hand. Okay, everyone's good? Oh, I'm just going step by step on how to get to the draft. So we can just have that. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to say okay now. And then now look what happened. We were in the draft view. On the left-hand column, there wasn't anything. And all of a sudden, this left-hand column shows up. And everything here is saying normal, list paragraph, normal. It's really basic. So this is like the first step for trying to figure out what kind of file you have. The next thing I want you to do is go to the Home button. And then, again, this is not very intuitive at all, but there's this little icon with a square and an arrow pointing downward. And that's going to help us view the styles. So if you could select that, and then the styles are showing up on the right-hand side now. Okay, so
Where is that little square?
where is that little square? It took me weeks to find it. So we have to be on the home tab on that ribbon, and then it's right here on the right-hand side, and there's like a little icon with an arrow. And again, if folks could walk around that are a part of our team, just to make sure people are there. If anyone needs help, raise your hand. Okay, looks like we're good. Okay, so this is the unremediated file. Now, at the very bottom where the Word files was at, let's go to Israel's file. So let's click on that one, select that one, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to View, and then what's the view that we want? Okay, View Draft, and then we're going to close that, and for some reason, I'm going to have to go again to the File, go to the Options, we got to go to Advanced, scroll down to that Display.
This is just to reinforce it for you.
This really is the hardest part. Well, in Word. I'm going to put 1.2. And then I'm going to say okay. And then again, on the left-hand side, we see this, what styles have been applied to those particular lines. But this one's going to be different. You'll notice that there's a heading 1 on the second tag is a heading 1. Then it goes to body text, then a heading 2. There's a body text, and then a heading 3. And so what this is, and this is what we learned last workshop, is we're adding what's called semantic structure to a document. And these are the tags that get exported to Adobe Acrobat when it's exported correctly. And I needed to preface that because a lot of people will export a Word file by going to File and Print. And that's not the correct way to do it. And right now, you really can't export an Adobe or to Adobe from Word on a Mac file or a Mac platform. That's why we're in a PC lab right now. So there's some plugins that you could do for Word, but it's not uniform right now. For this workshop, we want it uniform, so that's why we're in this lab. And this is another reason why we actually invested in 3 PCs so that we could do all our remediation on those Windows machines. There's some other options on campus that maybe ETS could help discuss later. But for right now, coming to a PC lab is the way to do the remediation.
So may I for a second, Jim?
Yes.
So it's really important to know that if you do the work here, it's much easier here. It's much, much simpler and quicker. And you've got the base for a document that's accessible. And this document itself can actually be, before you even send it out as a PDF, be considered an accessible document right off the bat. And again, Joe had all the instructions as to how to do that, how to make the body tags, how to make the heading tags. That's all in the other course. And I think if you don't know how to do that in Word, I would highly recommend reviewing that video from the 3rd course and reviewing the instructions within the course modules.
And I'll review a little bit of this as well as it comes up. But for right now, let's go back to that Home tab. There's another option that will help reveal the formatting. So I'm on the Home tab. Right below where it says Acrobat, there's a P symbol or a paragraph symbol in shorthand, I guess. I'm going to select that. And then notice what happened. Everywhere where I hit return, the P symbol shows up on the document. So that's revealing additional formatting. There's also places on here where there's spaces. So like between sources and this Juka Corpella site, there's 2 spaces right there. And I'm telling you that because those actually get exported to Acrobat as well. If there's a return, like on this page, this is page 4, there's a couple P tags. And there doesn't appear to be anything in there. So that's what's known as an empty return. That gets exported to Acrobat. And it needs to be removed in Acrobat, or we can remove it here as well. There's another empty return in links. So there's some empty returns here that should have gotten addressed. But those are also common mistakes that folks make when they're first learning. Okay, I think just with these 2 files, we're ready to start exporting. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through those steps to export to Acrobat. So I'm going to go to Acrobat tab at the very top. And then on the left-hand side, it says Create PDF. And it's just asking me where I want to save it. I'll see if I could save it on the desktop. And just hit Save. I'm not going to change any of the options at this point. And if everyone else could go ahead and go through this step as well. Okay, so it exported, and it opened Acrobat on my desktop. I'm going to go back to Word, and then I'm going to want you to do the same thing, is go back to that unremediated Word file. Okay, open that one, and go through that process again. Go to Acrobat, and let's export that one on the desktop. So you're going to have 2 Acrobat files on your desktop. that we're going to be able to look at. And I'm going to go ahead and, oh, it's telling me to save first. Let's go ahead and save that.
So, while you're all doing that, who can say why you shouldn't print? Does anybody know why you shouldn't print the PDF?
As people are asking that question, I'm going to go ahead and go through that process of printing so that we have a sample as well.
So anybody, sorry, what were you saying?
It wouldn't export the tags.
Well, even worse than that, what do you think I get if you give me a
Oh,
PDF?
it's like a JPEG or something.
Exactly, it's only an image of the file, there's no text in that file whatsoever. Which is why you don't print PDF.
Okay, I'm going to make a copy of that and send it over or put it in one of our discussions for you to get as well, Lucy.
Okay.
Let me just make sure I got that unremediated one. Okay, if anyone needs help with this so far, just raise your hand. Okay, Omi, can you come and help over here? Okay, does anyone else need any more time? Julie, can you help over in the corner? Right there. All right, so now, I'm gonna just show you how to navigate Acrobat. And this is Acrobat DC. Actually, Jennifer, you're the one who introduced me to DC. Okay, so what we wanna do is go to the tools in Acrobat, this tools option.
Here's where the fun starts, everyone.
And then on the very bottom, or maybe the second to the bottom, here we go. There's this accessibility icon. And what we want to do is hit the add. So I'll leave it here for a little bit. We want to do the add accessibility. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And then it shows up on the right navigation now. Okay, Jennifer, you got a question?
Yeah, I just want, which document are we doing this with?
It doesn't matter right now. We'll be able to, we're going to go through and switch between the different ones.
Okay.
I have too many open right now, but we'll go by the naming. So on the right-hand side, everyone should have accessibility now, right? Okay. So now just select that accessibility option. And on the right navigation now, we have auto tag document, reading options, full check, accessibility report, identify form fields, set alternate text, setup assistant, and reading order. And what I want you to select is the last option on there. It says reading order. Okay, so doing that opened up a new panel, which is called the touch-up reading order, or the tool. Touch-up reading order. Okay, so does everyone have this up? Anyone have any questions so far to get to this?
Where's the add button? Or
Okay, let me do it again. I'll close it. And then, so I'm going to go to, on this navigation on the top, it says tools. And then it'll show up on the bottom. Right now, I have it already added it. If I close it, it'll go away. I'm going to do it one more time. So I go to tools, and then there's accessibility. There's the open, the Toro tools open, and
Find it?
Yes.
okay. So now on this Toro tool, I want you to select on the bottom right, that panel says show order panel. And so it opened up a left navigation now. And there's highlights, grayed out highlights. Things are selected as rectangles, and they have numbers on them. So the first one on here is the Berkel logo. It's numbered 11. The second one is number 2, Accessibility Quick Start Guide. Oh no, there's a 1 on top. I didn't even see it. And that looks like it's probably one of those empty returns that I was telling you about. I'll show you how to identify it. And then it's numbered. It looks like it's numbered sequentially after that. And that's what's known as the tabbing order. And that's what when Lucy's going through it, that's the order she's gonna go through it.
So my software will look at those numbers in the background invisibly and say, I read this first, this next, and so forth. So if that order is off, which often happens if you don't do an export from Word, by the way, it will read it in the order that those numbers go. So that's why you check this panel. Very critical. I've often gotten pages so badly out of order that I can't read a document.
Okay, on this Toro tool, there's another option that we could select. So if everyone could look up here, because this is a small bullet. Under Show Page Content Groups, right now page content order is selected. The next option is structure types. So when I select the structure types, now I could see the H1, there's a P tag, there's an H2 and a P tag, then it goes to H3, and then there's the P tag, then it jumps back to an H3, and then there's an L body after that. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is about the easiest way, jumping into the Turo dialog box to see whether a PDF has been set up via properly as create PDF, or whether it was set up via print. And the issue here is, let's say I have 100 PDFs that I want to go through and make sure that they're all at some level accessible, as opposed to a single image on the PDF.
So it would actually show up as a single image in here. So yes, you're right. This is a good first quick check.
Okay, is there a better way? Let's say I'm going through 100 of these PDFs, and I just want to make sure, bare bones, that they are set up to be in some way readable, as opposed to just being a single image. Is this the best way to proceed through those 100 PDFs?
This would be the first step.
Okay.
And what's crazy is that the Toro tool doesn't necessarily relate directly with the tagging. And that's, I'll show you that right now. And then I'm going to show you a quick way of doing an accessibility check as well. Okay. So and this is where I get really frustrated with Acrobat, because this isn't intuitive at all. But if you come on the left-hand navigation below the Toro icon is like a Z, just go a little bit below it and right-click, and then it gives me options. And I want to do the fourth from the bottom. It says tags, and then these are actually the tags that that Lucy's screen reader are going to access. And this is where we could also move the tabbing order as well. So if we open up the H1 and we select there, it will highlight that particular text. What I like to do too is just use the down arrow and see how it highlights on the screen to see if the order is also correct. If I want that H1 to go first, I grab that tag and I move it upward. That one disappeared. Okay, I'm gonna do Control Z. Okay, there it is. So you could drag and drop to move the tabbing order as well. So that's just looking at the tags for right now. If you want to run a quick accessibility check, then on the right navigation, I had to move the touch-up reading order a little bit. There's the accessibility, oh, I'm sorry, there's the full check. So we could do that right now. Go ahead and run that full check. And then it has already pre-selected options. Just hit start checking, and it's gonna come up with a report. The report's on the left-hand side, and it's telling me that the document has 3 issues, which is actually really good. One of them is the logical reading order. There's a question mark right there, and it's saying that it needs, I got to open this a little bit more, but it's saying that it needs a manual check. The other thing is the title failed. And then the color contrast also needs a manual check. I'm kind of surprised the table didn't come off. Okay, so it's saying that it has table headings. That's pretty good. But that's really good. So Israel did a pretty good job with his first pass at this. You should have ran the inaccessible one. So maybe we could find that one. Let me see. It's hard to tell which is which here. So I'll just run the, I'll go to the next tab and just do that again. I'm going to go to accessibility, full check, start checking. This one's coming up with 5 issues. So it's saying that it's not a tagged PDF. And the primary language failed, the title failed. And then there's no alternative text as well. I wonder if this is the one that I sent out as an image when I did the print document. But right away, Chris, it's Chris?
Yep.
So right away, I'm gonna know like people didn't pay attention to accessibility here. So that quick test, that quick full check, that'll help give you a quick overview.
Nice. And I noticed one of the check boxes was that it's, like, PDF is not an image-only PDF or something like that.
Okay, so yeah, so this
Full check.
is probably the one that I did as a print image.
So just so everyone knows, when we have done inventories of documents on campus, what was it, Miles, 68% or 75% were image files?
I don't recall, was that from the Ally report?
Yeah.
Or- Yeah, it was pretty high.
A large percentage of stuff that students were being asked to read were just images.
Okay, I'm gonna show you guys a shortcut right now. I don't like using this tool, but I don't want you all to feel too overwhelmed. I want you to have a place to start. There is an automated way of making a file accessible. So it would be best if you went through that process of file print from Word so that we could run it on a scanned image. Did everyone get a chance to do that? No? Okay, so let me run this accessibility wizard and then I'll have you do it next step. So under the tools up here, and you could do this right now as well. There's this action wizard. It's on the very bottom. It says custom. So I'm going to hit add, and it shows up on my right navigation. Okay, so I'm going to hit that action wizard. And there is this automated tool. It's the first one. It says make accessible. Okay, so it's going to go through, and it's just right away, it's asking me to hit the start button. And it's going through, and it's asking me for a description. It's taking the file name as the title, and I don't want that. I'm just going to manually put a quick start guide, and then I'm going to put wizard. So I know that this is the one that I use for that. I'll leave everything else the same or empty. And I'm going to say OK. And then it's asking me for these options, the document language. This is something that every document needs to have. Every web page should have. What language we're using.
Put it in a different language. I want to show them.
Estonian work for you?
Sure.
Or should it be
You can make it Spanish. That's good enough.
Spanish?
Yeah.
All right. Output searchable image, down sample to 600 DPI. That's fine. I'm gonna hit OK. And then it's going through and it's converting. And then it's asking me, is this document intended to be used as a fillable form? If so, choose to detect form fields. So I'm not gonna show you how to do forms. That's actually workshop number 6. That's definitely if you're feeling really comfortable with this aspect. But I'm going to say no, skip this step for now. And then it's asking me again for the language. Lucy wants me to do Spanish.
Yeah.
We're going to say OK. And then it's going to say Acrobat will detect all figures in this document and display any figures with missing alternative text. So I'm going to say OK. It's come to, I think it's coming to this happy face. So I am just going to write happy face on here. We went over decorative images in the last one. I'm just going to say happy face right now. The next one is, it's I'm just going to say bell tower. And that's all it found. Okay, so I'm going to say, now it's automatically running the accessibility checker. So I'm going to say, go ahead and start checking. So that same document now just has 2 issues. However, I want to confirm that. So I want to look at the tags. So I'm going to, again, go to that left-hand side, right, open up the tags option, and then I'll just start using the down arrow. So it tagged, wow, that's kind of interesting. The Berkel logo, it actually converted it was probably like a JPEG or a PNG. It converted it to text. Let me see how well it did. So I'll open that. Ah, it's a P tag with the figure. Okay, so never mind. I take that back. So it nested a figure in a P tag, which I would never do. And then it's saying there's a part, and then it goes to H2 is an accessibility quick start guide. I personally would change that to an H1, but it's not bad that it did it. I could go through and change it. There's a section, and then it goes to H2, P tag. And then it grouped this next section, overview, and the paragraph all as a P tag. You see that? So it's listed all as one paragraph. I wouldn't do that, but it's better than nothing. I think Lucy would be able to navigate this. It would take her more time. She would get the gist of it, but I wouldn't say this meets WCAG 2 standards. I wouldn't put this on a publicly available website. I wouldn't be comfortable with this at all. This right here, this next part, this is a list, and it's tagging it as a P tag again. Okay, but it did convert it. It converted it from an image. It did what's called OCR, optical character recognition, and then it tried applying some stuff. This actually came up on a listserv last week. Someone said that all you need to do is send an Adobe file to Census Access, and it'll make it accessible. And it doesn't. It OCRs it, and it does add tags, but it's not going to pass any accessibility standards. It'll make it better for navigating, but again, I wouldn't be comfortable putting this on a publicly available website.
So best practices got a heading tag, but overview did not.
Yeah, the best practice, like the heading, like the basic, like this one headings, it did apply in H2, but then the next section, this should be an overview, should be an H3. Let me jump back to Israel's file and see.
So the thing
what
to take
his
away
did.
from that is you could run that wizard and it actually will double your workload because you're still going to have to check its work. So why would you have run it to begin with?
Yeah, so I jumped back to Israel's. There's a question about the tagging. Israel's, because he tagged it in Word originally, it exported that H3 on here. So overview is properly exported. And if you know you're going to be producing Adobe Acrobat files, start with an accessible source file. It doesn't have to be a Word file. It could be an InDesign file as well, or it could be any of the flavors of that's on Apple platform, like Pages and things like that. PowerPoint also, we could add tags to PowerPoint natively and have that export pretty good in Adobe Acrobat. This particular workshop isn't about how to make an inaccessible PDF accessible. That's something I will offer in the future next semester. But that is actually really time consuming and really difficult. And Omid and Julie could attest to that. If we have to remediate and they give us if an instructor gives us a PDF file, we say, no, can we have this source file? And a lot of times, even though they created it themselves, they can't locate it. They don't know where it's at. So my advice is actually put those original files in your B courses as well. Just make a folder with them so that they're always with the course. Because archiving them with courses is really helpful. The other thing is that if you get a letter of accommodation, it's going to go eventually, and you're working on campus, it's going to go to Marta Velasquez's team. And she has access to B courses. And she knows how to navigate very well. And if you structure the B course so that it's aligned by modules or by weeks or by theme, and you put those original source files on there, it's going to cut her remediation time like drastically, like more than half, more than 3/4. If she has the Word files, she could export those however, whatever the preference is for that particular user. She could export it to, she would probably never export it to Acrobat. She would keep it in Word, or she could export it to Braille. She could export it as an EPUB. What are some other files that she would possibly export?
Ones that would be completely meaningless to this group.
Okay.
Kezi files. Yeah.
Kurzweil as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Kezi files.
Okay. So, any questions about this so far? Okay, so let's go back to the Microsoft Word file.
Upload the one you just created in Spanish for me.
Okay, let me get them. I want to get them started on a task, and then we'll stop the recording, and then I'll upload those files, and then we'll do the screen reader. So I'm going to do two things. This particular Word file, and I'm hoping you could follow with me so that you have that printable file. So I'm going to go to File, and this time I'm going to say Print, and it's saying right here Adobe PDF. Let me see. This actually might do a better job, but I'm gonna, the printer is Adobe PDF. I'm gonna select that. I'm gonna make sure it's on my desktop. And then instead of Israel, I'll change that to print to, oh, someone printed to here. Okay, so let me hit save, and I'm gonna do that again. So you go to File, we're gonna look for that print, and then the option is the printer. We wanna change the printer to Adobe PDF. Okay, and so do that. It actually might do a good job because it has the plugin embedded. Let me just check real quick. So I'm gonna go to Accessibility, Reading Order, Show the Order Panel, Tags. Okay, it did it. So
it never does, Joe. Print will never.
Never. Okay. So if you all could take maybe like 5 minutes, make a printed version, which is actually going to be just one image, and then run the accessibility check. That's going to give me some time to put the files up for Lucy to download. And then Omid and Julie and Tracy, if you could go around just to make sure that people are able to do that. But it's still helpful to know how to run that accessibility wizard and to get it up there. But also look at the tags. So just get used to also looking at the tag structure so that you can know how to identify if an Acrobat file has some kind of structure to it. Okay, and then let me do that real quick.
Okay. I already, yeah, I did. I already did it.
No, he's going to upload some more for me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put them in the workshop for you.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the printer one is confirmed.
It's in discussions. That's where he's uploading them.
No, actually I put them as
Resources.
resource file,
Resource.
and then it says PDF. There's a,
Yeah, workshop files, PDF, printer.
let me just, I think we could skip the unremediated. I just want to get to Israel's real quick and make sure that did it properly.
So let me see if it's good. That's the unremediated one.
Does anyone have any questions before we start moving over to Lucy? All right, and just to let you know, under resources, I uploaded these PDF files. So she's going to be checking 2 of them. And after she does that, then we're going to go back to Word. And then we'll start doing some more hands-on of that, remediating some of those files so that you get used to adding the styles. And it's 10:11 right now. So actually, I'm hoping you get at least 25 minutes of hands-on, where we're walking around and you're able to start exporting them and to realize what makes the PDF accessible. Okay, so we're going to do the screen reader demo now. And the Lucy's screen is actually projected up front. This doesn't look very clear.
Should we go for the printed one first or the remediated one
Let's
first?
do the print version one.
Okay.
Edit accessibility quick start remediated print content preparation progress dial accessibility quick start remediated print PDF Adobe Acrobat Reader DC Berkeley Resource Center for Online Education DRCOE accessibility quick start guide. The following guidelines and recommendations facilitate accessibility within the multiple platforms. Headings, sources, Aaron Bovold, University of Illinois, web access, overview, screen reader users browse sections of a page, website or learning management system, LM.
Okay.
So it's actually doing a good job.
It did, and I'm surprised for printable.
Berkeley Resource Center.
But I want to show you something about this. I'm going to turn on what we call the speech viewer.
NVDA menu, view log V, speech viewer S. NVDA speech viewer dialog, show speech.
Okay.
Accessibility quick start remediated print PDF Adobe Acrobat Read.
So I want you to watch the way the text appears in the document as I'm reading it from the top, because it is out of order.
Berkeley Resource Center. Berkeley Resource Center for Online Education, BRCOE Accessibility Quick Start Guide. The following guidelines and recommendations facilitate accessibility within the multiple platforms. Headings, sources, Aaron Bovold, University of Illinois, web access, overview, screen reader users browse sections of a page, website or learning management system,
Now it's
LMS,
reading in
using
order.
headings and subheadings, H1,
Yeah.
H2, H3, H4, EC. Including properly nested headings on the page
It
adds
wasn't reading
semantic
in that order
structure and
before
provides an
previously.
essential organization
Can
for
you pull up
navigation.
the
Without
heading
headings,
list? Like, can you do just so we can see what the heading order is?
elements list dialog, tree view, type, grouping, links radio, headings radio button check alt tree view.
Okay, so on here, there's no headings showing up on her options, so she wouldn't be able to jump around based on heading structure, correct?
Correct. Yeah, there's no headings at all, so I would have to just read this as one long block of text.
And then can you get to one of the lists? It would be after best practices.
Accessibility. No next list.
There are no lists.
There are no lists. Okay, and then how about metadata? Can you actually get to metadata?
No, that just
presented
tells
as
the
one long-
screen reader how to read it.
Okay. Oh, and I don't know if I did the Spanish one.
I
Okay,
think-
let's go to the next document then.
I think that's the Israel one with Spanish. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Inc. downloads window. Items view. Accessibility quick start remediated Israel. Tech downloads window. Items view list. Accessibility quick start remediated Israel. 1. PDF Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. Unknown. Loading document. Graphic Berkeley Resource Center for Online Education logo. Heading level 1 accessibility quick start guide. The following guidelines and recommendations facilitate accessibility within the multiple platforms. Heading level 2 headings. Sources. Link Aaron Bovold. Link University of Illinois. Link web access. Heading level 3 overview. Screen reader users browse sections of a page. Website or learning management system. LMS using headings and subheadings. H1, H2, H3, H4, EC. Including properly nested headings on the page adds semantic structure and provides an essential organization for navigation. Without headings, pages are presented as one long pair of
So I'm going to now go to the headings list again.
elements list dialog, tree view, level
Okay,
0
look
web
at-
access
look
3
how
of
much
18.
content is on her heading list on this one.
Type, grouping, links radio, but headings radio button checked alt 8, tree view, level 2 overview 1 of 2. Best practices 2 of 2, level 1 lists
So
expanded 2
from
of
this
7.
option, she could
Level
jump
2
around the
overview, one of-
document and find the content that she is specifically looking for.
Accessibility quick
Or
start.
I could go through the document and just jump quickly.
Accessibility quick start guide heading level 1. Headings heading level 2. Overview heading level 3. Best practices heading level 3. List heading level 2. Overview heading level 3. Best practices heading level 3.
So I can easily just skim the document and decide I want to read this section or not. Want to do lists now, Joe?
Yeah.
Blank.
do this.
List with 5 items. Use heading tags to structure all pages and documents based on main topics and subtopics, e.g. Module 1, readings required, head. Adhere to the correct order of headings and do not skip heading levels, e.g. go from an H2 to an.
Or I'll just go to the next item.
Use headings to divide blocks of text into manageable sections. By breaking up page content into smaller chunks, the material becomes more easily interpretable. Do not pick a heading style based on aesthetics or because you like the font. Use unique heading names for H1 and H2. Out of list with 1 items bulleted and numbered lists distinguish content and add clarity by organizing key points into identifiable subsections.
And I just
Bulleted and
moved to
numbered lists should
I just moved to the next list after that list was finished.
All right, and then there's images in here.
Out of list graphic.
Images.
Oh, that one's not
Blank.
labeled.
Berkeley Resource Center for Online Education logo graphic.
That's the first image.
Okay, so there's all text in there, and I'll be able to show you how to add that.
Graphic.
That one has none.
Okay, the reason why that doesn't have any is because we did what's called a null tag.
No,
and
that's
you
not
add out.
that's not the case, Joe.
Oh, it doesn't have the null tag?
No, I would have skipped it completely if it had.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
so I'll look at it.
Use
Down
Berkeley
here. And there
Campanile
should be
photo
no-
graphic.
That one has the campanile.
No next graphic.
Okay, and then the next thing would be, there's a table on here.
Table
So-
with 3 rows and 4 columns. Row 1, column 1, presentation. Row 2, introduction lecture. Row 3, conclusion lecture.
So I was able to go down the column. So I want to look at the conclusion lecture.
Audio introduction MP3, column 2, conclusion MP3. Transcript introduction, transcript, column 3, conclusion, transcript.
So it's actually reading for me the heading of that column as I'm going across the row.
Row 2, introduction, transcript.
Introduction, and it's telling me I'm on the transcript for introduction. So I'm able to go through this table and know which column I'm in at any time. I could go across the what's this? 2?
Handout, column 4, introduction, slide handout. Edge of table, introduction, slide handout. 66C, users L prepo
It's
downloads
actually
accessible.
not reading the heading.
No, it's not.
It's
It's reading the column heading though.
Transcript, column 3, introduction, transcript.
See, it is reading transcript, Joe.
Audio,
Yeah.
column 2, introduction, MP3.
That's,
Audio.
Presentation, column 1, introduction, lecture.
That is reading the column headings.
wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions about the screen reader and navigating the PDF? Okay, let's get some more quick tips here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'll stay in Acrobat, and I'm gonna show you how to do the
Good job, share.
alternative text for images, and then really quickly I'll show you how to add headings to tables
Join audio button.
and the scopes for those headings. And then I want to jump to bulleted list, which is
Share button. Pause share button.
probably one of the hardest
Resume share
items to
button.
tag. It's not difficult, it's just tedious. So as soon as our team gets ready here, I'll start sharing my screen. Let's see.
Paused mine. It won't let me stop it though.
It won't, yeah, it won't let.
Okay, can everyone see up here? Let's see. All right, Lucy, so I'm on module 4, and I want to point out a couple of resources. So under websites and files, there's steps for PDF remediation. If you could select that, it's gonna bring up a page. And basically this is our own QA for our remediation team. Whenever we're doing any kind of remediation, these are the things that we want to make sure we're including. So number 1 is tag document structure. So that's the heading levels, the H1, the H2, H3. We also, this is upon Lucy's recommendation, the first tag we want it's a document tag.
Zoom participant ID. Join audio.
Um,
Join audio.
So number 2 is the headings. Number 3, bulleted lists. And I mentioned that they're difficult, and there is actually a link on there that will open up a file on how to tag it. And so this is a very step-by-step how to add the tags to the PDF. Number 3 is tables. So how to tag a table in PDF. There's a step-by-step. I'm going to show you how to do that. But it has 4 subsections. One of them is adding the summary, if it's irregular, adding column and row headings, cell heading scopes, and then adding a caption if it's relevant. I'm not going to go through all of the other ones on here, but you could have access to it after this course. So let me jump back to Adobe. Oh, it closed all my Adobe Acrobat. Quick start guide.
You have a
Open.
video playing.
I do. I have a video.
Yeah, I hear some audio.
It's not me. I don't think.
No.
Is it on?
Yours is playing.
I'm not hearing anything on the computer.
What song is it? Can you sing it for us?
You log out.
Okay, let me get to this, guys. Open. Why is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so if you could open up the Israel file and scroll down until you get to, there's an image of a happy face with a thumbs up. And this is the one that Lucy said there was nothing on there, it wasn't null. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click on it and then it says edit image. Ah, that's not what I wanna do. Let's see, right click. Okay, it's not doing, let me do it that way. I'm gonna go back down to the accessibility option. And then there is a set alternative text. So let's do it this way. And then it's just gonna go step by step. It's not going step by step. Let me just check real quick. Which one is this one? Maybe it's not the Israel one.
I'm in the accessibility quick start remediated Israel PDF, and I can right click and edit the,
You could, huh?
yes. So maybe you saved the file so that you could.
Yeah, look, it's opening it up. It's not tagged. Let me go to this one right here. Okay, there you go. So when it's tagged, then it's probably going to give me that option now. All right, so right click. No, I'm going to do this. Accessibility, set alternative text. Okay, so here it's going to the logo. And then I'll go to the next one. And then it did do the quote unquote, Lucy. So this quote unquote, it's known as the null tag, and it's like for decorative images. What it is though, I think this is what it is. We put that null tag in the Word version and then exported to Acrobat. But I think Acrobat really likes this decorative figure option instead. So if you could select that on there instead of the null tag, it'll X out that. Now I'm going to go to the next one. And then this is the UC Berkeley Campanile photo. And then that's it. I'm going to stop there. And then so that's how you add alternative text on Acrobat. The next item is the very bottom. If you could get to the very end of the document, there's a table. And so for this one, I'm going to hit, I'm going to select the reading order, and then the Toro tool opens up. And then I'm going to select the table. And then on the Toro tool, there's a table editor option. And sometimes it's tricky to actually select it, you might have to click on the table a couple times before the table editor becomes selectable. So I'm gonna select that, and then now it's giving me, I don't know, what would you call that color, like a salmon color of the table. And then from here, I'm gonna select the presentation once, and then I'm gonna right click on it, and then it's giving me this option for table cell properties. So I'm gonna stop there, and I'm gonna ask Julie and Omid if you all could walk around and make sure that everyone's has this part. So this is where we're able to identify a heading and then tell it what the scope is as well. So
Does everybody understand why that's important?
okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and select that. And then it is telling me that it is a heading cell. So when Lucy was going through, it was saying that it was a heading, but there's no scope option. And that's something that doesn't get exported from Word. So under scope, we're gonna change that to column. And then we're gonna say, okay, we'll go to the next cell, right click, table cell properties, scope equals column. Okay, so I'm gonna do this 2 more times. So right click, table cell, scope equals column. And 1 more time, right click, table cell, scope equals column, and then I'm gonna say, okay. I'm gonna go back to that table editor, and I just wanna look at another one of these cells. So I'm gonna right click, table cell. See, here it's still saying it's a header cell, and that's not correct. It's a data cell. So it's important to know that, like, when we're using tables, there's to show correlation, data correlation. They shouldn't be used for layout, but given this, basically all of the cells were exported as headers, and we don't want that. So I need to go through and tell it they're data cells. Let me see if I could select all. Yeah, if I hold down the shift button, it's letting me select all of them. And then I'll do cell, and I'm gonna change that to data. So that's super important, especially because it's gonna show the correlations better for Lucy. So I'll save this one, and I'll see if we could have time for her to review it at the very end. But this is also a regular table. And a lot of times we'll run into tables that have collapsed cells where there's 2 cells combined into 1. And we can also do that as well, where if we right click in the table editor, if we go to cell properties, it says row span, and we could change that to 2 or 3 depending on how the table has been formatted. So let me cancel that. Any questions about tables? All right, now I want to get to these lists. Okay, so when I go back, I'm going to go back to the Toro tool, and so I'm not in the tags view. I'm going to go to this option where the little Z's at. And then I'm going to tell it, I need to make it so that I can't see anything, or I'm going to, let me see. If I uncheck show page container groups, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select just that bullet, and I'm going to tell it that it's a text now. And then I'm going to go to the next paragraph, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tell it it's a text. And then there's another check mark on there. You see that check mark? So I'm going to tell that that's text, and then I'm going to separately grab the next line and then tell it it's text. And I'm only going to do it for this level right here, and then I'll stop. So I got to do manually each one of these. Oops. So I tried grabbing it there and it didn't work, so I got to do it a little bit better there. All right. So I just marked those all as text, and then I'm going to go back and show those. And I'm going to uncheck this display like elements in a single block. It's on the Toro tool. And what it's doing is it's giving me individual tags now. I'm going to blow it up a little bit more so that we could see that. So see on here, there's the P tag for the bullet and then for that list. All right, so let me just stop there and just see did everyone get a chance to do that, or does anyone need help just marking the individually with the P tag?
I need help.
All right, Omid's gonna go over there. Anyone else need help?
Oh, I lost track. So I'm here.
Oh yeah, I did that one. The shift. Thanks, Anna. Oh, Anna chatted about holding on the shift for the multiple tags.
Oh, you do it for the other, do this first? These bullet points, or do this?
Next to the actual.
The text?
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone need help? Else need help? Okay. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the tag view. So instead of in the Toro option, I'm going to go to the tags, and we're going to look for that list.
What we're gonna change.
Let me I need to make this a little smaller here.
Jamie? Jamie?
Yes.
Can he just share the file with the Zoom through the Zoom meeting, maybe?
Okay, so it's under headings. And then I'm going to use my down arrow. There's best practices. And then here I go. I'm getting into this list. All right, so I just located the list. So it's marked by an L on there. And so I'm going to stop there just to make sure everyone gets to this part in the tags. So I'm in the tags view. It's right below the H3. And then there's the L. When you select the tag, when it's closed, that whole, everything's selected in that L tag. So I'm going to open it up, and then it's telling me L, and then it goes LI. And so LI is actually list item. And then it goes list item, and then there's a P tag. And then notice how it's just a bullet in there. And then the next P tag is the content. So what I want you to do is select that P tag where the bullet is, and we're going to change it to an LBL. It's really important that the first letter is a capital. LBL.
What does that mean?
Label. And then let me,
Joe, how do you, we're kind of stuck on the bullet points here. So
okay.
for each bullet, you do a text box
Yes.
and then the content.
Yeah, and then the
She's
content.
having a hard time grabbing it and then it's not sticking.
Yeah, I know
That's the trick.
that is a trick. So I'm going to jump real quick back to the our steps for remediation. There's this tagging bulleted list. So I'm going to open the document just so that there's step by step on here as a Word file on how to do it.
So are you gonna modify that file anymore?
This one, no. The list one, or the file I'm working on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to,
Okay, so as soon as you're done that, you're just gonna
Okay.
send me the file.
yeah, let me just blow this up real quick. This is the part that I wanted to see. Oops. This,
Speech.
it's not letting me blow it up. So what I wanted to point out on here is that the structure of a list, it's on this Word file, but it goes list item, then the LBL for the bullet, and then L body for the content. The first letter for all the tags need to be capitalized. For L body, the B in body is capitalized. Okay, so let me just jump back to the Acrobat file. So we got the list, the label, and then this next P tag, we're going to change that to Al body. So it goes list bullet, the bullet, list body. This is the most tedious part of the tagging an Adobe Acrobat file. And again, sometimes it's hard to grab content. So let me go back and what I usually do is I blow things up as much as I can where it fits into the screen. And then I'll turn off to show the content groups. So Tracy, did she get a chance to do that?
Yeah.
Turn it off? Okay, and then you got to make sure you're on the Toro tool too as well. This Toro tool, not on the tags view. So select that, the Toro tool.
Which one is that?
It's right above the tags. It's with the Z.
No, I know it's.
Oh.
That's yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, she has that open.
Okay, and then you just gotta. Can you grab it now?
Yeah, I can really kind of do it. It's not grabbing all of it.
It's not grabbing it. Okay, let me come around and help you there. Does anyone else need help just grabbing these? Okay, let's regroup really quick. We got another, maybe could stretch it to 10 minutes. The last part that I wanted to show you that I didn't show during the last workshop was the metadata. And this is really important for search engine optimization if it's going to be on the web. And it is an accessibility aspect as well. So on your, whatever PowerPoint you're on, if you could go to File and then Properties. So File and Properties. And I'll open that up. And so this is from Israel's Word file. So he added this in on there. So I'm going to jump back to the Word version just to make sure you know how to get to that as well. Not very intuitive where it's located, but the title of this is Accessibility Quick Start. His name's on here, and then he wrote Best Practices for Accessibility. If you're part of an organization that uses keywords, you could put them in here. If you're just going to put random keywords that doesn't really make sense, or if you know you're going to put it on the web and you're in a particular discipline, this is where you would put very specific to that paper or that document. And it does get picked up by search engines. The next item that I want you to see is the initial view. And this always needs to be document title. And then the last thing is under advanced, there's the language, and then it's English for this particular document. I am gonna change this one to Spanish for Lucy. Okay, so that's the metadata, and it does need to be included so that And that's on my the best practices list as well, things that we include. Let me just save as and put it on my desktop.
And then Jamie's gonna just send it to me through.
You can send it in your chat.
He's gonna send you a file.
Okay, it's Israel and in version 3.
Hit download.
And I'm sending it to everyone who's on right now. Okay, let me jump back, and if you all could do this too, can you get to the your Word file? And make sure you could do enable editing. It could be any Word file. It doesn't have to be one of that was remediated. I just want to make sure I get to the part where the metadata is located. And Anna, I think you might be interested in this because we did miss it last time. All right, so on this one, it's file.
It's open? Yeah.
And then there's these properties on the right side. And you gotta pull down that arrow, and then it says advanced properties. Again, not very intuitive. It's a little easier on the Word or the Mac version. Okay, so I'm gonna select that advanced, and then the title, it's the same categories as what was on the Acrobat. So Sarah Shai was a student worker. She's one of our first student workers at Berkeley, so she helped create this document. Yeah, you could do a little bit of spying when you find the Word files out on the internet. You can see who created them. Under content, nothing there. Custom. We're going to look for the language option. There it is. So you go language. The value on here, we'll write in English. And then we have to select that add. And then it shows up on the properties. So if everyone could try doing that, don't forget to hit the add as well. But you look for language, add the value.
If to type it, it doesn't actually have a pull down?
It doesn't have a pull down on this one. Okay. All right, so that's the metadata. And then let me just go one last time back to the course. So under the workshop 4, a recording of this highly edited version will be uploaded probably in about 8 or 9 days. We'll include the transcript, the video, the PowerPoint's already there. And actually someone was having problems with the PowerPoint. I'll make sure that it opens up correctly. So our workshop files are there. And this steps for PDF remediation, it is really helpful to have available so that you're making sure you're catching each one of these. And then this is something where if we didn't get to a particular aspect of it, put it in the discussion. And I'll make sure someone responds to it. And then little by little with practice, and once you encounter difficulties, and you learn how to overcome them, we'll be here for part of that, but the goal is for everyone to kind of rise and become experts as well. So I'm going to leave it there, see if there's any last questions before we end. No questions? Okay, then that's the end. We're right at 11 o'clock. Thank you so much for coming.
I do have one announcement to respond to your thing, Chris. I did not want to put this out when you asked the question, but we will have a tool in the fall that will inventory your documents and tell you which ones are a priority to remediate.
Oh, great.
That'll be out, probably you will have that access to that. I'm hoping for January, but I can't make any promises.